Hi, this is Malcolm Blight, and you're listening to the Crowject.
Hello and welcome to episode 267 of the Crowject podcast. Thank you to our sponsors in Solly Designs, Nathaniel's Coffee and Panini, Trojan Aluminium and ARC General Maintenance. It's not just me on the pod tonight, but there aren't many of us around. Tonight I am joined by Ray, to my right.
Hey, how you going?
Good, and well, that's it. That's all I'm joined by tonight. So it's Ray and myself.
Duo.
Possibly the dynamic duo. Could be the best podcast you've ever heard. Could be the worst.
Yeah,
you be the judge.
Where it's going to go.
And of course, we'll be discussing the loss against the Cats from Saturday, your feedback, and all of the news around the club at the moment. Thank you, as always, to our amazing Patreons. If you want to become a Patreon yourself, head to patreon.com/Crowject. We have our bonus Patreon segment street, which you can find every week. You can go through the back catalogue, everything, every week. We'll have around the grounds in that and much, much more. Now, Ray, we had a game on Saturday at GMHBA Stadium.
We did.
What happened?
You know what? Like our conversation earlier in a pre-roll, we had a brave bronze medal finish, like Liz back in Seoul in 88. A brave bronze. You've got the scores a bit wrong here.
I literally just noticed that.
The Cats 90, we were 85, 5-point loss, and just really close.
Yeah.
Probably the best we've looked at GMHBA Stadium for a very long time.
Indeed. And it's not much of a bar to set, but it was nice to see us compete and really be right in the match up until late. I thought when we got 10 points up or whatever it was, I thought we were going to run away with it, but just not quite to be.
It's just, I was speaking about it today at work, and every game of footy I've watched this year, doesn't matter in what teams are playing, as soon as there's like a big swing of momentum, it's so hard to wrestle it back.
Yep.
And we looked so good right up until about 10 minutes to go in that last quarter. And as soon as it camped down Geelong's end, there was just no way we were getting it back out of there. And we were gallant.
Yep.
We tried our absolute backsides off, but you know what? They were just better on the day. There wasn't really anything that like could have gone too much more better. But yeah, we were gallant, and it was just one of those, again, almost losses. So
those gallant defeats.
Yes.
And I mean, for our position at the moment, it's probably the best result we could have had. We played well, we looked good, we still lost, so we stay in the run for Sid Draper.
Yeah. We're on the slid for Sid, on the slide for, I don't know.
Slide for side.
I don't know.
Mid for Sid.
We're trying to slid for Sid. There was so much hope in that game as well. There's so many good moments. So it's just a tough one again.
Yeah. If we were pushing for finals, that would have really, really hurt. But
yeah,
it was an enjoyable game. I loved watching us play well. Like, obviously it hurts to lose, but you're like, oh well, that's the upside of the season being dead and no finals being possible. You're like, yeah,
correct.
It's good to see us play well.
Correct.
So goals-wise, we had Rochelle and Thilthorpe with 3 each. Tex had 2. Shoal, Saligo, Fogg, Keys and Murphy all kicked 1 goal. What were your thoughts on the goal kicks? It was a pretty nice spread, really.
It was a pretty good spread. Rash looked really good. Filthy looked really, really good. The one for me, Fogg played a better game than 1 goal.
Yep.
He was outstanding. He just doesn't get beaten anymore.
Yep.
And he just flies for it. He's strong. So, yeah.
Yeah.
I just really rate where he's at the moment.
Yeah, 100%. And I think someone else who's going to not get beaten much in the near future is Riley Thilthorpe. He really tore apart the Geelong defence. We'll probably go over his stats in a second, but I think it was 10 score involvements. He was just dominating his defenders. He was taking marks from 2 metres behind them, just plucking them over his head. It was just a really good game, and then just topped it off with a couple of really good goals, including that one from 50 out, tight on the boundary.
Yeah, the early crow with the they're telling the fans where I am, but he ever since he's come back in, he just looks too big for anybody.
Yep.
And there's a good problem to have, because I'd rather have him on our team than against us at the moment. Yeah. So, he was outstanding. I mean, there wasn't. You could throw a blanket over a dozen players probably that played well on the night.
Yep.
Again, our young kids that are coming in are really showing something. I think I'm just going to check how many goals Stengel kicked, but Hugh Bond getting chucked on Stengel in his third game. He's done some pretty big jobs for us already and doesn't look out of place at all. So one for Stengel, which is outstanding. I mean, you know, he probably didn't have the best preparation week leading into it, but, you know, to keep a player of that class to one goal is a really good job.
He looked pretty lively when he was around the ball as well, Stengel. So it was not like he was, you know, a bit sluggish from that preparation. He looked like he could have broken the game open in the last quarter, and Bond did a pretty good job in terms of holding him back, and he's been really impressive since coming into the side. He's done jobs on, Stengel? He played on, who did we have last week?
Hawthorn.
He played on Ginnivan and kept him quiet for most of it. And
the week before he came in against
Essendon.
Yeah, and was straight on to, who was he on? Gresham or someone like that.
Yeah.
And, well, did he tag Merritt? Yeah, he tagged Merritt.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's 3 big jobs in a row, and he's come out holding his own. The naysayers will look at his stat line and saying he only had 6 disposals, but he's more than that. He's more of a Luke Brown type. He's going to lock you down every week. So, yeah, he's been really good. You know how much I love Billy Dowling. That was probably his quietest game since coming into the team, but still, he was around it. Zach Taylor, 14. And Josh Worrell, coming back from injury, looked outstanding.
Arm sleeve and all.
Yeah. He had the LeBron sleeve on and looked outstanding with 21 touches.
Yeah, he was really good. He's been a real key of our defence that you could see for the last few weeks that we've really missed him. And he's just sort of seamlessly slotted straight back in there. So he came in, Dawson came back, Crouch came back in, and Murray came back in. Borlase and Cook were omitted. Himmelberg was injured. I didn't see what he was injured with. And Chase Jones had a personal reason. He was out because he had a baby, or his partner had a baby. He certainly didn't have it, but
he was out, so was the baby.
Indeed. So that was the ins and outs, and I think that was probably about what we could have expected. We were talking last week that we weren't really sure who would come in, but pretty happy with the ins and outs there, I think. And each of them had a pretty good impact. So Murray obviously down back. Shannon Neal didn't do too much.
No, he didn't. He looked a bit cooked towards the end, but that's just lack of footy.
Yeah.
You know, he couldn't keep up with Cameron right at the end, but...
Not many can.
No, Cameron put in a fairly big effort right in the dying stages. I thought, they scored 90 points, so we've let some through, but all in all, I thought most of our defence was all right.
Yep, 100%. Speaking of defence, Dan Curtin was the sub again and only brought on with 5 minutes to go. Probably a little bit stiff, but the formula was working. And I think that's the rationale behind it is we were playing well. We were right in the game.
Where does he go? Like, who do you take out of that game to put him in to have an impact?
Yep, exactly.
Because people will say sub Murphy off because everyone just hates on Murphy. But are you going to take Murphy off and put Curtin into the game where he's going to have more of an impact in that position than Lockie Murphy is?
Yeah.
Probably not.
No, exactly right. There wasn't really any logical move, especially when you're in the game. You were winning for a good chunk of it. It was
really tight. It was really hot. You know, I was admittedly yelling at the TV saying, get him into it. Like, poor kid's just going to have to run laps of GMHBA. But yeah, there wasn't anything that you could say he needs to go on for this.
Yeah. Yeah, and he's not that type of player that's going to inject a whole heap of pace into a game. It's not like you can chuck him in and say...
He's not a high energy player either, like a Ned.
Yeah.
Where you could chuck him in and just like let him...
Just run through the pack, yeah.
Yeah. He's not going to do that. He's going to have an impact, but it's how you can best make him have an impact.
Yeah.
And he's not a high energy player. I watched him at the Samford the other week and he's got a little bit of the Pendlebury's about him, like time and space around contest, which isn't high energy. I'm not saying he's low on energy or anything like that, but he's not just a game breaker like right now. We need 3 goals and he's going to boot him because he's at everything. But, you know, he did what he had to do.
Did all
I
he
guess.
could in the in the amount of time. It'd be good to see him get a full game, I think, this week or at some
against
stage.
the Bulldogs, yeah.
Yeah.
Go and stand next to Marcus Bontempelli, see how he does it as a big body.
Yeah, that's it. We'll see. But
why not?
Exactly. Nothing to lose.
Yeah. Follow him down back. If he goes down back, you played your first half of the season down back. Just follow him everywhere.
Just towel him up.
Yeah, see how he does it.
Yeah.
I'm a big proponent of if you've got a kid and you've got a midfielder that you're going up against that's very damaging, go let them take them to the footy.
Yeah.
Like Marcus Bontempelli is good for a reason, not because his footy IQ's up there.
Yep.
He gets to the right spots. He runs hard. If Daniel Curtin's going to be a big-bodied midfielder, go stand next to the best and go, you know, you might get absolutely towed.
Yep.
But he's going to show you some good running habits. He's going to show you got to learn on the job a little bit.
Exactly right. Yeah. And you're going to draw from that experience when you're 24, 25 into that prime yourself. So
exactly.
Yeah. Just whack him in. Can't
whack
hurt.
him in. And yeah, I mean, it's a little bit to the Wolves, but what's the worst that can happen?
Exactly right. Exactly. I don't mind it. So we'll see what happens this week. Touched on it a little bit. Who impressed? So I've got Rash and Filthy on the run sheet, but you could probably throw a blanket over about 10 of them who played
Fog
well.
for me was he didn't have the biggest stats night, but he doesn't get beaten anymore.
Yeah.
He just brings it to ground at least every time. He fights for when he's got back position, he'll fight to the front and make sure that the ball gets to ground.
Yep.
It's very predictable for our midfielders. And yeah, he didn't have his biggest game, but it was a very good game.
Yep. Very influential. I think Rash is probably the one for me. And Jake Saligo as well, probably second half wise was really good. But I was very impressed with Rochelle. He kicked a couple of key goals. He was in and around the contest. He took some big marks. And I thought he really stuck it up a few people on social media and other areas in the media who were criticising his game a bit. Easy to forget that he's only, 21 years old?
Yes, correct. I've really liked how Nankervis gone about it lately.
Yep.
He's had a really good month, 6 weeks of footy.
Yeah.
He does get caught holding the ball a little bit too often, but that'll come
Jared
through.
Healy wanted to mention about 15 times in the coverage.
That'll come, though, like a bit more strength through the hits and stuff. He'll start breaking those tackles.
Yeah.
Again, Worrell, I just looked it up. He had 17 kicks out of his 21 at 85% efficiency.
It's pretty good.
So, that's a pretty good effort.
Yeah.
When they kicked 13 goals, so the ball was down there a bit. So, can't complain about that. Trying to think who else. It's just one of those games, wasn't it?
Yeah, but just everyone was pretty decent. Like, it was hard to pick anyone that wasn't great, to be perfectly honest. I thought Dawson was very good, as always.
As always.
We're just used to it. We see it every week.
It's hard for him to be outstanding now because we just expect good from him all the time.
His standard is just so high that he'd have to have like 54 touches and
exactly.
kick
We'd
7.
be like, jeez, how good was he?
I thought Lockie Scholl had another pretty good game. His recent patch of form has been very impressive.
Yep.
They're probably the main standouts, I think. Rob had himself a pretty decent game there by the stats. He didn't dominate, but he didn't get beaten, I didn't think.
No. Geelong are a weird one with their ruck because they don't really ruck. I don't know. They're just a weird team to match up against.
Yeah, and then DeConing went down and it was, interesting setup there. So, also, congratulations to Riley Thilthorpe. It was his 50th game on the weekend.
Yes, he was.
Fantastic effort from him. Obviously, kicking the 3, as we mentioned, had himself a good game and he's only getting better and better. Yeah. Another thing that Jared kept saying through the coverage is he's going to be one of the best players in the competition over the next few years.
Well, that's why we try to pick him number one.
Exactly right. Hopefully that all comes to fruition.
Yeah.
We will move on now to the Bungee Medal votes. And next week, I promise you, we will have an updated leaderboard. We're just going to sort of let it play out towards the end of the year because we're that close now. We might as well just leave a full leaderboard to the end of the year.
Yeah, correct. That's why I was going to say it as well. For one vote for me, I'm going to go with Nankervis.
Yep.
2 votes, I'm going to go Rash.
Yep.
And 3 votes, I'm going Josh Worrell.
Worrell.
The Woozle.
I like it. I would probably say 1 to Saligo. 2, I would go to Worrell, and I would give the 3 to Rash. So that's going to leave us in a tie because it's not very hard to work out the maths here. So Rash and Worrell with 5 votes each. They get the 3, and Nank and Solly tie on 1 for the 2 votes. We might need to put this to the chat later and figure out who gets the 1 vote because we just don't have enough players. But yeah, 3 for Rash and Worrell, 2 for Nank and Saligo. As I say, we'll have an updated leaderboard next week. Maybe midweek this week, we'll figure out who gets the 1 vote. We'll chuck that in. We'll chuck that up. We'll see.
We'll see how we go. We'll get there.
Indeed. Now, feedback from the lovely listeners who are listening at the moment. I don't think we had any voice messages this week.
I don't. We have not been told.
Indeed. So I would suggest that we probably didn't. I will start off here. We have got Twitter, the ever fun platform to look at, Twitter. Someone has put hashtag sack Nick still in the comments, which is just a stupid comment to say the least. Connor says, honourable losses don't pay the bills. How many of them are we going to have before we start converting? It makes me feel ill. Outside of that, young core of the team impressive again. Club still getting carried by Dawson. Don't know if I fully agree with that. We have had a lot of honourable losses. It's been obvious the last couple of years, but considering the year that we've had to go down to Geelong for a team who are playing for the top 4, very good team. We're undermanned. We're missing arguably our best player in Rankin. To get within 5 points of them down there, we haven't won there for 24 years. I was 4 years old the last time we won down there. I'm okay with it. And considering everything, ladder position, draft picks, everything, I'm not too disappointed. Ben McCormack says, don't know what the original post was, but he said an insult for Filthy to be compared with Dixon. Oh, yeah, there we go. They mentioned that a few times.
Yeah.
Shoal battled hard all day. Filthy finding some form along with 10 score involvements. Rash stood up when it counted, including under some high balls. We can only play Crouch or Laird. Brave effort, but in the end, not quite good enough. And that's probably fair. The Crouch and Laird comment again. It feels like we've gone in a time machine back here.
Leaving it alone. Hang on. Oops, that's the wrong button.
But yeah, it was. They're very similar players, I suppose. It wasn't too bad on the weekend, and it kind of worked, but a little bit more pace would be all right through there.
Yeah.
Good to see Crouch come back though so early as well, considering he was supposed to be out for the season. It's impressive to see that he's come back so soon.
Yeah.
And came in and played pretty well for mine. Catherine Jacker said Wolverine was massive today. What else we've got here? Americans watching the footy said Thilthorpe is special. Keys fueled the comeback effort. My boys were lucky to escape with the 4 points after failing to capitalise in the first and third. I'm assuming that may be a Geelong fan. Mike Newbound says, I'm sick of the close losses. Very fair. What else have we got here? Nick Walsh, this is an interesting discussion point for me, actually. He says, how far has Keane gone backwards in the last 8 weeks?
I didn't want to bring this up because he was he's started the season on fire. And I thought, how good's this guy? But it looks like he's checked out of the season.
Yeah. It's kind of just stopped, really.
It's just like slow decision making at some points, which, I could do it. So what am I saying, really? But there was times where he just got caught, run down, and it was like just needed to make a quicker decision. I
Yep.
don't know if he's double guessing himself. I don't know what it is, but he played with such an air of confidence at the start of the season, which seems to not be there anymore.
Yeah. And I don't know, he's just getting towed up by opponents and he just looks a couple of seconds behind. You know, he's watching the player, he's not watching the ball, and he's losing contests because of it. Strange.
Yeah, it's a weird drop in form.
Yeah.
Because it seemed out of nowhere.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm wondering, it's a ironic timing that all the talk about him and Collingwood and everything would be in the media, but yeah, I don't know. It's been a very concerning drop in form, to be perfectly honest.
Correct. I've got Instagram over here. M_Foster1995 says, honestly, I think it's probably one of the best games we've played all year, which can't disagree with. JamesDog1804 says, haven't seen Crom win in Geelong since I've been born. Behind Green Eyes 123, heartbreaking, proud. Brad Chaff, I had a stiffy, then I lost my stiffy.
That was a bit of a slap in the face.
Well, Harry Max 2001 said, we were good, just Geelong have big schlongs. I feel like I've brought a lot of dick chat to this this pod.
It's good to have you back.
Yeah. P Davis _ says, genuinely think Thilthorpe can win the Coleman next year. Love that.
I mean, like we said, you put it on his head. He's better, like he's bigger than everyone, and he's just taking the marks.
Yeah.
Just put it on his head. He'll kick 100 goals. There you go. That's a creamy score.
KJ _Scoobs, beaten by a team who wanted it more. Be good to see Rankin back next week now. Jake Thomas _ said, can't be sad, was a ripper game and we still played all the kids. Like, why? It's Michael Lewis says, like, why even bother putting Curtin on that late FFS? May as well play McHenry as super sub. I mean,
yeah, it's an interesting one.
Yeah.
Like, it's so hard to pick a sub. It's
correct.
so circumstantial. Like, if we were down by 8 goals at half time, then I'm sure he probably would have come on a bit earlier. But
correct.
you know, we probably didn't expect to be in the game as much as we were. Like, not that we went into
in the
it
way that we were. I think the way that we were dictated the Curtin.
Yeah,
The way that we were keeping ourselves in the game dictated the Curtin sub more than that we were in the game.
yeah. And the way that we were keeping it around was using the pace. It was using that quick balls and getting out the back. And again, Curtin's not that player to be in that linking chain. But
not yet. He'll get there.
Yeah, 100%. Now, of course, if you want to give us a call at absolutely any time, and we mean literally any time, you want to give us a call right now, you can do it. You're up at 3 a.m. watching the Olympics. You're watching some great athletics. Liz Frank. You're watching her highlights.
If you see, a brave bronze medal on a 1 foot put.
Indeed. You can let us know on 82465498. Of course, we will play any messages we get on the pod. Of course, make it a sensible message, please. Patreons, you can sign up at Crowject, not Crowject, Big Cartel, that's the merch. Patreon.com/Crowject. We just want to give a shout out to our $10 and above Patreons, and I will just pull up the list in front of me right now. They are Jenny McCardle, Hayden Arthur, a.k.a. The Real Hilf, Jordan Marnie, Jessica Cook, Jake Bocko, Drew Corner, Sam Curtis, Sean Marie Davies, Brendan McGarrigan, James Payne, Michael Bornholm, Simone McDonald, Jerome Withers, Jeremy. It's written as Jeremy here, but I swear it's Jerome. Leighton did this part, so we can blame him.
Fucking Leighton.
Paul David Clennett, Matt Roylance, and Neil Roylance. Thank you very much to Andrew Burse, Richard Sheep, some new Patreons. If you want to get yourself a shout out in the podcast, of course, you can sign up for as little as $1 a month. And of course, you get all sorts of stuff over on Patreon. You get the segment street, you get the Get Your Crow On.
Yeah.
You get the name a game from Leighton. I think he put up the 2014 Indigenous round game against Gold Coast the other day I saw, which is just a very random thing that popped up as I was scrolling along. You can get a whole plethora of things. When we get interviews with players, they'll go up on Patreon first. You can hear that. So head over to patreon.com/Crowject to sign up. And Ray, if you're wanting to get some merch, such as the lovely new Crom beanies that are around somewhere,
they're at the front. We didn't put them on display just yet. Crowject.bigcartel. Let me rewind.
You caught the me.
Crowject.bigcartel.com, where you can get your beanies, the new ones, the new edition. You can get Soph's amazing eras, Crom era tour jumper,
Indeed.
which is amazing. Nice winter months, so get your Crom pose, your air fresheners, your stubby holders, your scarves, your lanyards, whatever you want there that we've got on there. Not whatever you want, but go there, check it out, buy it.
Indeed. Now, I want to shout out the Crompo again. I mean, people are going to think that we're just shouting this out because we're obviously selling it.
Oh, it's done some heavy lifting this winter for me.
I've slept in it literally every night in the last couple of weeks, and I'm not just saying that. It is so warm and toasty. It's very, very impressive. So if you want to be warm and toasty and save hundreds of dollars on electricity bills, which keep going up, grab yourself a Crompo at crowject.bigcartel.com. Now we'll move on to the news. As we mentioned earlier, Chase Jones and his partner Nicola welcomed baby Finley into the world on Sunday afternoon.
Loves to fight.
Does that mean Chase Jones is Hornswoggle? I'm not sure, but congratulations to Chase and Nicola. In terms of the AFLW, we had an internal trial during the week last week, and by all reports on the Crows website, Chelsea Bedell and Eloise Jones both led from the front. Maddie Clark said our midfielders are all looking very good, and they've been working a lot on their synergy in the off-season.
Of course.
Indeed, which the season starts at the end of this month, doesn't it? I think August 31st is the showdown. So that's coming in hot.
We're coming in quickly to the real season. Everyone else has just been warming up for the AFL season. We've just been
getting ready
really
for the AFLW.
slowly building to AFLW.
Indeed. And speaking of that AFLW showdown, tickets went on sale last week. So let's pack our Alberton Oval in red, blue and yellow and just, really lift the looks and just the general area of Alberton because let's be honest, it's a low bar at the moment.
Correct.
So let's get out there, support the girls and hopefully another 10-goal win in which Port don't score because that would just be really funny.
Good.
Again, where are we here? Next up, the next game. We play the Bulldogs on Sunday afternoon.
Doggies, bro.
Indeed. Not Canterbury. We're playing the Western Bulldogs. Sunday afternoon at the Adelaide Oval. It is Darcy Fogarty's 100th AFL game.
Can someone do a welfare check on Sunday afternoon for Sophie? She's currently off injured.
She'll make her way down there.
I did just see that she's slandering us that we hate women or something because it's just us two tonight,
She made the choice to pull out, by the way.
Yeah, I know. Real rich coming from Sophie. And all the things that she's said when this microphone is not recording, which just downright, some of them are so chauvinistic. So Fog, great 100 games. Like, he feels like he's been around longer than 100 games.
Indeed. He debuted in, 2018? Yeah, because he played that game against Richmond after we lost the grand final, and then we beat him back at home, and he took out Nathan Broad or something and just steamrolled him. So 6 years in the system, obviously been very up and down in that time, but is sort of starting to go on the upward trajectory.
I think so. I think it's the longest chunk of him because he showed glimpses all the way through his 100 games, but I think this last 3 months, 12 weeks of footy has been his most consistent. So I'm looking forward to a big 2025 for Darcy Fogarty. But Sunday Arvo against the Dogs, we belt the pants off of him, I think. I think they're coming in high on their own supply.
Yep.
They would have sniffed so many fluffs over the last week since Friday night that they will be so far ahead of themselves that will belt the pants off of them.
Yeah, not a bad call. I very much hope so. It'd be nice to see a win in the last home game of 2024, and I can't believe we're already saying that. It should not be August already. That year's just gone far too quickly. Who do we think comes in? Now, obviously, Isaac Rankin's suspension is done.
I think Isaac might come back.
Probably walks back into the side, you would suggest?
Yeah, I reckon he comes back, and I reckon I actually don't know who he will replace.
Yeah, I'm not sure. It's a hard one because
It's going to be an extended bench, so they'll probably just put him in.
Yeah.
Make the call later in the week.
More than likely.
Sandful plays this week. Played the Bloods.
Indeed. Of course, no game.
Hindsense.
The week just gone.
So maybe you look to give Curtin a full game back in the Sandful, even though I come up with a genius move of making him follow Bontempelli around. And maybe he comes in for him and we put someone to sub like a Murphy or a...
Jeez, the meltdown on socials would be astronomical if...
I think whatever
Curtin
they
goes
do,
out.
there'll be a meltdown on socials.
Oh, there always
If there's
is.
one thing I've learned in life, there's going to be a meltdown on socials.
100%.
Yeah. Yeah. I think Rankin comes in and then toss a coin.
Maybe a Berry. Berry hasn't been doing too much, but he hasn't been bad.
No, I thought his pressure was elite
Yeah.
on Saturday. Don't know. See how Crouch pulls up from a shoulder.
Yeah, that's very true. Other than that, it's hard. Someone's going to be stiff to be dropped. That's It's basically that's all it is. I mean, yeah, looking at the team list, that's very hard. If you're looking for sort of a like position wise, you got what Murphy,
Dowling.
yeah, Dowling, maybe depending on how he's going. Obviously, you might want to manage a
Taylor.
younger player, but with only a couple of weeks left in the season, maybe not. It'd be interesting to see what they do.
Definitely.
Does Chase Jones come back in?
I don't see him coming back in.
Yeah, not after the performance.
No. So it'll be interesting. I think we win by 27 points.
Yep.
And who's kicking our best goal? I'm going to say who. I think Fogg's going to kick a rugby league bag full.
Yep.
And he's going to kick 6.
Yep. We'll roll with that.
Yep.
I'll take that. I'll tip
And
us
every
as
one of
well.
them a love letter to Sophie.
He kicks them all from that pocket that she sits in.
Yeah.
I'll tip us as well. Two teams here that are very up and down, so it's very hard to pick a result here. If the Dogs show up, could be anything. If we show up, could be anything. The Dogs could not show up and we could not show up. It's hard.
Yeah.
I'll tip us by 8 points. I think we just scrape over the line. And Isaac Rankin to come back in and kick some sort of belter from the boundary or something like that, because it's a very Isaac Rankin sort of thing to do.
Of course.
Now, we are going to head over to segment streaks, where we will have Fantasy Land. We'll talk about the first round of the AFL Fantasy Finals. Around the grounds, Beryl and Cecil of the week. There's a ripper this week that I saw about Josh Rochelle on the forum on Saturday afternoon, and much, much more over there. Of course, if you want to listen to Segment Street or anything else on our Patreon, head to patreon.com/Crowject for as little as $1 a month. You'd be stupid not to, as Cream would say. You can listen to the Obscure Crow over there, our pre-rolls, our Segment Street. We're going to do a call to our Patreons in Segment Street. We tried it in our pre-roll. It didn't really work. No one answered, but we're going to go to Segment Street and do that in a moment. Follow us on all of our socials, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok at Crowject. Thank you again to our Patreons. Get your merch at crowject.pigcartel.com. Thank you very much, Ray, for joining me this evening.
No, thank you. We did the tough lift tonight.
We did. If you enjoyed it just being us two, let us know. We'll kick the rest off. So if you'll never be back again.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening, and go Crom.
Go Crom.